and welcome to the SwitchGrocery weekly show. I'm Neha from SwitchGrocery. We're an online grocery store in Canada. We go live every week, Tuesday nights. We interview someone. Today it's Mollee from Keto Brainz, who's a clinical nutritionist. We're so excited to have her, and the topic of today's live is, are we getting enough protein? I want to mostly no. Lisa says hello, and I would love some thumbs up, some hearts if you can hear us. If you can hear us, drop some hearts, drop some thumbs up, and we would love that. We would love the confirmation that all of our tech is working fine, because we are live on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and what am I forgetting, Mollee? YouTube. Yeah. Brian yelled from upstairs and he was like, YouTube. Okay, so Lori Olson says, sounding good here. Karen Bradley says hello. Lisa's hand pink waving. Amazing. This is great. This is fantastic. So Mollee, for everyone who does not know you, would you mind giving a quick intro? This is your second time on the show. Usually I intro you, but I'd love if you could intro yourself. Yeah. Do you mind, Mollee? I think we're getting some feedback that people can't hear you, so we're going to check sound. Do you mind seeing if your mic is on your computer? So I think yeah. Let's see if people can give us a thumbs up. Can you hear Mollee now? And on Instagram, can you hear us? I just want to make sure. So I think I hear an echo, which might have been your speaker. Nothing. Okay, so you could turn that back down, and then we just need to unmute. We need to see if we can find your mic. Is there a mic on your laptop? Okay, there is no mic on your laptop. Okay, so I'm just trying to think this through. Okay, well, then we may not be able to do Instagram because we may need to connect your earpods back to your laptop. Because I'm thinking that, is there a regular mic in your laptop? So my laptop has a regular mic. If there's a little, everyone hold on and be patient with us. Okay, so in Restream, you'll see if you go towards the right, a little settings button, right under your My Photo maybe. And then if you click on audio, there should be something that says audio input there. That's it. Is that checked off? Okay. See if you say something, let's see if we can hear it. Can anyone hear Mollee? Let's see. Can anyone hear Mollee? We want to know. But maybe you say, because last time it worked. So I'm just trying to think of, were you on your earpods last time? Okay, so we may have to get off Instagram and then go back to that, right? I'm assuming. Right. Oh, interesting. We could do, yeah, why don't we do that? We can, so I'm really sorry, Instagram folks. We will move over to YouTube, and Brian's going to set the Instagram link in our stories. So he'll do that. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. So you had to say bye to Instagram peeps. I'm sorry. Okay. So now we'll work on, thank you guys so much for your patience. Mollee is coming on, and hopefully with her phones, it works. Can you? And Brian will post some stories to Instagram with the YouTube link and Facebook link. Done. Amazing. Hi, Lori. Hi, Karen. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for your patience. Man, so I've still been sick while Mollee gets set up. I've still been sick, so I'm having like my Harry Potter mug. Oh, I should be able to turn up my speakers now. So let me see. Do you mind saying that again, Mollee? I can't hear you, so I don't think people can hear you, but can you hear me? If you can hear me, that is a good thing. And then I will put my earpods back just to get them out of scenario. Thank you guys so much for your patience. This is a really important live, so I hope we can do it. If we can't, we'll reschedule, but I think we can get there. I don't think so. I'm seeing if we can, because I know it worked last time. So I think if we go back to settings and back to audio, see if you can pick your, let's see if I can, if you can pick your audio, and then your audio input, if you can pick your earpods, and then you have to disconnect your earpods from your phone. So I just turned Bluetooth off on my phone to get them off my phone. Oh, Karen, she's really looking forward to this. Thank you. We are really trying. I know that Molly's trying. And the best thing is, you guys, that I always ask Mollee to do this. So I'm like pretty much begging her to do this because she inspired our protein collection. And I'm actually volunteering myself as the guinea pig today. And I'm going to be getting her help with calculating how much protein I should be getting. But yeah, I have been sick, as you know, for like maybe 7 days. So I'm towards the end of it. So if I have a coughing fit today, we have a backup plan, and Brian will be joining us just in case I break out into a cough. But yes. But yeah, the protein collection was actually inspired by Mollee. Like last time we talked and we interviewed her, I actually had an interesting message exchange with her where I talked to her and said just how important is protein, because I don't think I'm getting enough. And I can't hear you yet, Mollee. Yeah, I wonder if there is an internal mic or an external mic. Oh, and Karen says she's looking forward to get that info too. Yeah, I find it difficult, especially because I fast a lot, sometimes to get my blood sugar down. And that means that sometimes I can't get enough protein. I'm so sorry, guys. We are going to keep trying. And if it doesn't work, we will reschedule. Do not worry. We will find a way to bring Mollee back. And I'm learning the hard way, maybe, that Instagram is not good to do with Restream at all. We try to do it. Do you want to come back in the Restream, Mollee? Maybe that will help. Yeah, and then we also just, I sent a login, so please do it again. Oh, it's not finding your earbuds. Okay, so maybe connect back via Bluetooth. I'll just, 1 sec, I'm going to kick you off so you're not on screen. Okay, I kicked Mollee off so she's not on screen, so she doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh. But basically, I have not been getting enough protein. I knew that. And even though I have, we have a protein collection on Switch, but sometimes we're like, okay, so that's 25 grams of protein or 30 grams of protein, and we know we need more. How are you doing? Lisa, Lori, if you're in here, Suzanne, how are you guys doing? How has the last 2 weeks been? We actually have some travel coming up in April. So we're actually going to KetoCon, which I'm excited about, in the middle, I think towards the end of April. We're just basically going to meet with our suppliers. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm also going to be traveling next week. So for a full week, which is interesting, but also a little bit nerve-wracking. So yeah, last week I really sat down. Lisa's like, I missed you last week. I did too, Lisa. So I missed you too. It was weird coming on Friday and being like, basically, it was weird because it was like, I should be going live right now, but I haven't. And I hadn't taken a break, I think, in about maybe 7 days or something. No, what am I even saying? 4 months. Okay, wait, I'm going to message Brian. Don't post YouTube until we are live. And then I can just say, hold on. 1 sec. I will. Can you call Mollee? And then let me see, maybe Mollee. Mollee, should I bring you back on? Let me see. Or wait. It's not working.
You can't.
Oh, I can hear you.
Can you?
Yes. So let's see if everyone else can hear you. Dario says, hi, Neha. I have had a nasty cold this week, so I haven't eaten much of anything. Oh my gosh, I feel you. I am like, being sick is so hard. And Lori says, my household is on the upswing after testing positive. We're negative now, but we still sound like you. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry that you sound like me. I was thinking of not doing the live today because I can break out into a cough anytime. But, definitely I was like, no, we have to do this. I've been wanting to talk to Mollee. You can now hear her. Mollee, people can hear you.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Sorry, guys.
We're 12 minutes and 30 seconds in, and we can hear Mollee. You guys, I think we need to give ourselves a round of applause. I'll tell Brian to post.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead and post. So he'll post the link to our Instagram stories. There you go, guys. It's great hearing you both. It's great hearing you too, Lori. It's definitely interesting that everybody has been sick or had something on the go. And I'm hoping that if we get some protein, Mollee, we'll all get better magically. Maybe protein's the answer.
Well, it's certainly a part of it. You absolutely can't you can't have proper immune function if you don't have enough protein. You need enough protein to make proper white blood cells. As females, you need ideally to be eating protein that's high in iron. That's also crucial for your immune system. We don't give protein enough credit for everything it's responsible for. We tend to think of it as, protein equals muscles. Men are the ones who want muscles. Right. Do we want them? Do we not want them? And it's problematic because you require protein for, everything from proper liver function to proper bile acid production to the maintenance of skin, hair, nails, joints, ligaments, tendons, bones, making neurotransmitters. The amino acids you get from proper protein are the building blocks for virtually everything in your body. And if you're not getting enough, your body's always borrowing from one place to kind of help fix another. So something's always in a deficient state if you're not getting enough of that raw material, those amino acids from protein to help you repair and to rebuild. And, even those of us who know they need enough protein, it's hard to get enough.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as it sounds in the beginning to get enough protein. And we're kind of set up to fail because the RDA is set so low. The RDA is set for existence. The RDA is set for, I can sit and breathe.
Wait, what is that resting RDA?
So, RDA, I don't know does Canada have the same RDA?
I don't know.
Recommended daily value.
Oh, yes. Okay, got it. I was like, oh my gosh, what is that?
Yeah.
For
So it's
for everyone, because we couldn't get the intro, would you mind stepping back and going and telling us about yourself? Because you're also a clinical nutritionist, which is why I asked you here, which is crazy.
yeah. Yes. So um, I'm Mollee. I'm from Keto Brainz Nootropics. That's how we know Neha and SwitchGrocery. And we had a chat a month or more ago where we touched upon protein. And I think that caught her attention. And she was like, wait, but how much protein? And how much protein do I need? And it's a conversation that I have been loving having when people are receptive to it. I've been through my own periods many times over where I knew better, but I still wasn't getting enough protein. And, going to CrossFit every day, being very active, and even talking to trainers or people who work out every day, even people who should know better don't necessarily know what's ideal.
Right.
And there is a lot of nuance. But to keep it simple, you really want to aim for 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's 1 gram per pound of healthy body weight. So whatever your ideal body weight is, we ideally want to aim for 1 gram per pound of that healthy body weight.
Okay.
And it's not easy. It takes paying mind to what you're eating and when you're eating it. And we'll get into it a little further. It's actually crucial to get a minimum of 30 grams of protein per sitting so that protein can actually do what it needs to do in order to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So we can dive into that.
Okay, well, let's back up. Okay, so first thing first, you said apparently my Google just talked to me. But first things first, you said, so the first question is how do we go about figuring how much protein we need? Which then we have a big question around, this is my first one. How do you know your ideal body weight? So I will start and be the guinea pig. I'm going to be the guinea pig.
Yep, that's right.
I just turned 40 years old. My weight has ranged between 165 pounds and 220 pounds. That's sort of been I've gone up and down, probably more up postpartum. So after I had, not even after I had a baby, actually in the pandemic, the sheer stress of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So right now I'm hovering at about 200 pounds, about between 195 and 200. Really interesting talking about weight, because I think there's a lot of baggage that comes with weight, and there's a lot of preconceived notions. But I'll just say why I'm sharing this information. I'm really just sharing it in the spirit of using myself as an example, and also just normalizing weight. Like, weight is just it's not the be all and end all. I'm working actually on good blood sugars. Like, I'm working on sleeping more. Like, there's just so many other indicators of health.
Well, you're bringing up a really important thing. I was a fat kid and I was an obese teenager. I was 250 pounds when I was 12. I ended up anorexic before I found health. It's been many, many years, but I've kind of lived in a lot of different spaces when it comes to that.
Right.
And before I got into this space, before I got into nutrition, it all just seemed like a puzzle that I couldn't solve.
Right.
Because as a child, as a 14-year-old, I was just skinny. I didn't even know what that meant, right?
Yeah.
You're just a kid. You don't know
For
better.
sure. Oh my gosh, you don't.
And then, you arrive at what you think is skinny, and that's not health. So skinny isn't health. The number isn't health.
No.
What I will say, and what I wish was easier for people to get a reading on, is it's really about, we want to have as much muscle mass as we can have.
Okay.
So even when I'm skinny, I'm 150. I'm probably $160 right now. So that number doesn't mean anything to me. The number that means something to me is if I get an in-body scan or one of these body fat tests, because I want to know what percentage of my weight is muscle mass. My goal is to be, protein forward, protein centric, and to do everything I can to build and maintain muscle mass. Muscle is a very metabolically active tissue. So if we're talking in terms of trying to get blood sugar in check, if we're talking in terms of getting out of the diabetic range or the pre-diabetic range, first and foremost, one of the most important things you can do is use your muscle more, do what you can to build muscle, and we can't build muscle and repair muscle if we don't get enough protein, which kind of gets back to being in a protein-centric mindset. So ideal body weight, BMI is really tough. If you are strong and you have more muscle than the average bear, I come up as obese on every test, and it's just.
How would I pick it? So would I just pick a number? Would I say, okay, I'm, at 40, like I'm probably not going to go to 165, maybe I'm 180. Like
I would, to be honest with you, if it was me, I would say, listen, I have X, Y, and Z that I'd like to solve for. I'd like to solve for normalizing blood sugar. I'd like to solve for getting out of the pre-diabetic range. If you're making the right choices to solve those two things, any weight that is excess will start to come off. So if we're eliminating the sugar and the carbohydrate, we are adding daily physical activity, or lifting heavy things, or eating protein centric. To me, I would start with, instead of I want to be this weight, I would go with goals that are, I would like to be sure that I live to 100 healthy,
right?
Which necessitates, let's get out of the pre-diabetic range. Let's do everything we can to move more and put on more muscle. And it doesn't have to be crazy. You can get yourself, an 18-pound kettlebell. Like you're a busy mom, you have so much going on. It can be as simple as keep a kettlebell on the floor and do 10 squats. Start with 10 kettlebell squats, which will take under a minute. So the ideal body weight thing is difficult. Some people know, like, it's kind of tricky. If you know you're 100 plus pounds overweight, then having a goal of, okay, I would like to lose a minimum of 100 pounds is a thing. But if you're in this range where, like, I could go up 10, 15 pounds, and if I'm not checking what's going on with my muscle mass, I don't know. If I believed in the scale, I would freak out because I'd see, oh my gosh, I'm 15 pounds heavier.
Right.
But if my goal over this year was to put on 10 pounds of muscle, I need to know what that difference is. And I think aiming for being metabolically sound is the first most important thing. Because even if weight loss is the downstream thing that you're aiming for, losing weight is going to be very difficult if you're not in a place of being metabolically healthy, where blood sugar and insulin are in ranges that are ideal, where we're not having blood sugar spikes. So I know that's not giving you a direct answer, but I think choosing goals that are strongly rooted in, right now I want to feel good. I want to feel good a year from now. I want to feel good 10 years from now. I want to feel good 30, 40 years from now. Right. So what steps do I take today to get there? And if weight loss is a part of a goal that you have, getting metabolically sound really is step number one. Having adequate muscle is crucial. And then back to protein, we can't have adequate muscle if we're not moving and eating adequate protein. And
amazing. So follow-up question. How much protein does someone like me need? Or how would you help someone like me? And this is not medical advice. It's more just an example. How would you help someone like me determine my ideal protein intake?
I would not put too much thought into it. Just the first number that pops into your head, like, I'd be comfortable at X weight. Like, if you have in your head, like, you know what, I'd feel good at X weight. Just use that as the weight. So for me, I'm between 155, 160, I don't know. So I always aim for 160 grams of protein per pound of body weight minimum, because one, I don't want to lose any muscle mass I currently have. Two, if I'm doing any working out, I want to ensure my body has what it needs to repair and build muscle. Because otherwise I may be getting a little more cardiovascularly sound. I may be getting better at plyometrics. I may be getting better on a bunch of metrics, But over time, like after the age of 35, and for women in general, putting on muscle is more difficult than for men. It becomes more difficult to put on muscle. So at the very least, we do not want to lose muscle. And that's, yeah.
So a follow-up.
Yeah.
160 grams of protein sounds impossible to me.
So in the beginning, it feels impossible.
It feels impossible because sometimes I'm trying to get to 100.
So first, a couple of first tips, and I want to go back to this, why you want to aim for 30 grams of protein per sitting. So muscle protein synthesis requires an amino acid called leucine, and we need enough L-leucine. We need 2.8 to 3 grams of L-leucine to tickle this little pathway called mTOR, which stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Okay. So 30 grams of quality protein will yield about 2.8 to 3 grams of L-leucine, which is going to be the trigger for building and maintaining muscle. You are not going to get that from couscous, beans, rice, chia, none of it. So when we're talking protein, like all of those things I mentioned, that's great. But here's the reality. If you want to get 30 grams of protein from quinoa, you must eat 4 or 5 8-ounce bowls, which puts you over, that's way too much food. That's way too many calories. Beyond that, there's something.
I don't even think I can eat 8 bowls of quinoa.
No, and you don't want to. I'm not recommending it. Don't do it. But
I'll be in the bathroom.
No, and the other piece of that is there's something called the biological value. Every protein source has a different biological value. And something like the plant-based proteins, our beans and our rice and our quinoa and our chia and our hemp seeds, the biological value on those is relatively low. Same on nut butters, which means we have to consume many, many more calories, much bigger quantities to get anywhere near the amount of protein that we require. So we really are looking at, we are looking at beef, we are looking at chicken, we are looking at turkey, we are looking at fish, we are looking at eggs. Eggs I love, but there's only 7 grams per egg. So we're looking at a number of eggs plus maybe some turkey, or you're looking at an egg on a patty. So if you're not doing like a serving of beef, like a big, nice, clean, grass-fed patty of beef, it is going to be difficult. Or a nice chicken breast or some salmon. You want to start by getting an idea of the size of a piece of meat that equals around 30 grams of protein. Okay. And then you can add, little bits of extra protein, whether it's like, a patty of beef and some cheese, or a patty of beef and an egg. So it seems tricky in the beginning, especially if you're not accustomed to eating a lot of meat, fish, eggs.
Right.
Whey protein is something I will leverage on a daily basis, because if I'm looking at coming up like 30 to 40 grams short, it's really easy to kind of hit that extra protein at the end of the day with a whey protein. And again, this coming from someone who I knew what I was supposed to do. I knew how much protein I was supposed to get. And basically my experience, I did CrossFit for a few years, very fit, could do CrossFit twice a day, very lean. I'm like, wait a minute, where's all the muscle I was supposed to put on? And I know better. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing OMAD, I'm eating once a day, I'm fasting all the time. It's like, okay, you're being ridiculous. You know the answer and you're not doing it. So I had to make a very concerted, I had to say, okay, I do prefer to fast. I love how that feels, but my current goal is, let's see what we can do with putting on some muscle. So I had to commit to what it looked like to consume those things. And it really was coming up with combinations. Cottage cheese plus tuna.
Let's talk about these combinations.
Yeah. So things you want to think about having on hand: cottage cheese, tuna, quality beef, turkey or chicken if that's what you like, salmon, sardines if you like them.
Oh,
you don't have to eat them if you don't want to.
I've never eaten sardines, so I'm interested.
It's kind of, they're not bad. It's like an oily tuna, really.
Oh, okay. Um, that's not bad.
Nope. So a couple combinations that I like to keep in the fridge.
Tell us.
So a good cottage cheese and tuna. It may sound funny, but it's actually quite good. If you look at the container, you're looking at about 2 servings of cottage cheese and a can of tuna. That's going to get you around 50 grams of protein.
Wow.
A good can of tuna will have about 30 grams of protein. And then 1 or 2 servings of your cottage cheese. 1 serving of cottage cheese typically has about 13 grams. So you could do 1 serving of cottage cheese with a can of tuna, mix it up, add whatever delicious spices you want, add a little mayonnaise if you want. That's 40 grams of protein right there.
Amazing.
There is, at least here in California, there's a Icelandic yogurt that has 20 grams of protein per serving. I will mix a 20-gram scoop. I will mix 1 scoop of whey protein with 1 serving of that yogurt. That's 40 grams of protein right there. So those are 2 little hacks that I like to have in the fridge, along with, let's see, we've got boiled eggs. Sometimes I'll cook extra beef patties just to have those available in the fridge. And it's weird until you get used to it. And then you just kind of start, think about protein-centric eating. Really, I am not the expert. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is someone I would look at. She's amazing. She has something she's calling protein-centric medicine, but she has an amazing podcast. And I particularly love her, especially for women, because she's a female speaking in a female voice to ladies, kind of not skirting around the topic of how many people kind of still feel like protein is for men, and watching protein is for men, because people still have this idea that if you eat too much protein, you put on muscle. I wish it was that easy. I wish I could just like mainline protein and put on muscle. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to just bulk up by adding more protein.
Would you say that the answer to getting enough protein in a day,
yep,
is meat?
Personally,
is animal-based protein.
I personally believe that people should be eating a lot more animal-based protein.
Okay.
It is, especially beef, is the most nutrient-dense food that you can get. Your iron, your B vitamins, quality fat, the body does really well with it. So I do understand people, there's all sorts of choices that we can make. I have been vegan. I have been vegetarian. I have been no fat, high carbohydrate. I am keto. I'm pretty much keto carnivore now because of the amount of protein that I need to consume. It's the most bioavailable protein you can get. And so...
Okay. Let's talk about this a little bit more, because so for me, and I'd really like to, if someone can drop this in the comments, tell us if you struggle at certain points with eating beef. So we've had Robert Savage on the pod, on the show. He's talked a lot about the importance of protein, but he's also talked about, just do ground beef and eggs.
Yep.
And at the time when he said that, being very, very honest, sometimes I'm just sick of ground beef and eggs. It's just so I don't know if I'm not sure if this is because of my background.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's because I grew up more, in India, like eating more beans and lentils and rice. And, but sometimes eating too much meat makes my tummy hurt and makes me feel a little sick. So I want to know from anyone in the comments if they struggle with that, because I'm seeing Lisa. So Lisa has another question. Can you get too much protein? So that
would be really hard.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That would be really hard. That would be really difficult to do. I don't know of any quality evidence or studies that have shown, even at the 2 grams per pound of body weight, if you do not have a pre-existing kidney disease,
Okay.
Where that's a whole other thing that has nothing to do with protein and more to do with phosphorus and other minerals you can't get too much of that would
Sure.
be, yeah. So no, you would have a really hard time doing that. Now, old school incorrect information would tell you yes. Old school incorrect information would have you believing protein was bad for your kidneys.
Interesting.
None of this is correct. None of those studies were correct.
And that's unless you have an pre-existing.
So if you have polycystic kidney disease, which is a familial disease, which is a genetic disease,
yeah,
there's a whole bunch of things that you would need to be cautious of. Okay. So I had a friend with that disease, and he still had to get enough protein. Yeah, he could get one that was specifically low in phosphorus for his condition. So that's not even like relevant to a conversation with a healthy individual without a pre-existing actual disease state.
Okay, that is very helpful to know. I do know, like, one of my best friends, actually, her sister has, I don't remember the name of the disease, but she cannot, like, her body cannot consume protein. It's like almost allergic. She has like a really genetic, I don't remember the name of the disease.
You know, there's a really interesting podcast about something. So basically, someone became allergic to meat because they got bit by a tick, and it had to do with this enzyme called alpha galactase, and the episode is called Alpha Gal.
Yeah.
And something about what happened to the body when this person was bitten by the tick. This person loved meat and barbecue, and they could no longer touch it. And anyway, it's a great look up Radiolab Alpha Gal podcast. It's very interesting. It's a rare thing, but it does exist.
I will. Because I'm really curious about that. Lori says she loves beef. She loves ground beef, barbecue steak, roast beef, and beef stew. Jess actually says she's with Lori Olson. She will eat all the meats. Interesting.
That's good.
Lisa says her kidneys are fine, but her liver is screwed. Very interesting.
Lots we can do to help the liver.
And Karen says when she was eating high protein, the scale kept going up and up, and she can only handle it for so long, like a variety.
So, and this is the thing.
Very interesting, like varied responses.
Yeah, and you don't have to, you do not have to be extreme. I would say that I and Robert and some of us, because what we're doing is attached to a certain fitness goal or a certain aesthetic.
Right.
We can take anything from keto to carnivore to, like, you name the dietary ideology, we can go extreme with it.
Yeah.
We do not have to go extreme with this. So one, I just wanted to really touch upon something. If you are feeling incorrect after eating meat,
right,
what we really want to look at is how is your production of pancreatic enzymes? Are you producing enough bile? Are you producing enough stomach acid? A lot of people who have been vegetarian for a long time, who have been afraid of saturated fat and cholesterol and maybe not eaten as much as they should and not eaten enough protein. Bile acids are made of certain amino acids that come from animal-derived protein, very important fats that are coming from animal-derived protein. So it is quite possible that simply by increasing bile acid production, getting more amylase, protease, and lipase with a pancreatic enzyme, or apple cider vinegar can stimulate the production of bile. So that my first thought when someone has a hard time digesting protein is we have some sort of digestive insufficiency that we need to help with.
Okay.
But on the variety part, oh my goodness, you can have that same bowl of beef and you can have, make a curry sauce, protein centric doesn't mean it has to be boring. Like, you don't have to just eat a bowl of beef. You can turn that into low carb tacos. Get yourself low carb tortillas, make a fat protein filled burrito or a taco, make an enchilada. You can still eat all the foods that you want to eat, but what we want to look at is, instead of, let's go with a burrito. I get burritos. Yeah. I ask for no rice, no beans. I get extra beef. We have some cheese. We have some sour cream. It's about more protein than the carbohydrate. Whether you're keto or not keto, think of your plate differently. The primary thing on the plate, have that be meat. If you still have some sort of rice or legume or whatever side dish,
right,
you don't, it's not about not doing any of that. It's about ensuring each time you sit down, we're getting you a minimum of 30 grams of protein to start. Before you're even like, okay, how do I get 180 grams of protein? We're going to start with how do I get 30 grams of protein per sitting? And then how do I make it delicious? How do I make it so I can sit there and go, this is boring. I don't want to eat it. So I don't want to scare people off from eating the delicious things that they want to eat. But if you start eating in a way where every meal you're looking at it through the first lens of what's my protein source, and am I getting an adequate amount in this meal, then build the rest of your meal around that. What we typically do, what I see people do, we've got our pasta dish, or we have our bean dish, or whatever it is, and I used to do this with salads. I would do a giant salad, and now let's sprinkle some protein on top. We kind of want to do it the opposite. Let's do a bed of arugula. Let's put my protein on top, and then what other little things might I want in that scenario?
Interesting. Because I love the giant salad sometimes. I like what Lori Olson's saying, because she's saying ground beef is so versatile. And I wonder, Mollee, if part of the answer here is being able to cook a variety of foods differently, like being able to just make delicious food. And she says that she's increased her fats automatically with increased protein. Jess says herbs, spices, and butter to use to do that. And then very interesting comment from Suzanne. I used to get nauseated sometimes too, and Dr. Berry said that it was normal, especially for women and especially if we have weight loss. He said that our body will take a bit of time to get used to all this nutrition. Now I'm fine eating a lot of protein. Yeah. So interesting.
There's adjustments. And the other thing so if you're trying to lose weight and you're just upping your protein and you still consume carbohydrates and you still consume grains and legumes, if you're just upping the amount of calories by upping the protein, that could be one reason the scale goes up. But the other reason, more commonly in a community like this, where people are looking largely to lower carbohydrates, perhaps do some fasting, perhaps be keto, chances are the scale's going up because you have more muscle mass, especially if you're doing that over time.
Yeah.
So that's where I wish it was easier for people to see what that looked like, because your initial question, I would say, if you can, just go get an in-body scan, because it's going to give you the percentage of your body weight that's muscle and fat. And instead of a goal weight, you kind of have this percentage loss or gain that you'll want to see. Maybe X percentage more muscle, X percentage less fat. And that's looking at how do we make your individual body healthy instead of just some number that's randomly chosen.
So would you say, so I have a scale, for example, would you say that an in-body scan is more accurate than a scale, like just a...
Well, the scale is going to give you weight, but...
No, it does give you like body fat. I think it gives, no, my scale gives me percentage body fat.
Those are notoriously inaccurate. Those are at-home ones. I have one, and I used it next to the one at the gym, next to another.
Okay. Well, I'll do an in-body scan, Mollee.
And you may be able to find, like, here, some GNCs have them just in the store, and you can go in and get them. You might find a local gym. It's not it's not perfect either, but as far as cost and accessibility, it's kind of the easiest one to give you a reading. And it may not be perfectly accurate, but if you use the same metric, once every few months, you at least are using you're using the same metric to compare to. So you'll at least be able to say, okay, on this date I got this done, and I'm going to I'm going to hit my protein, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Now let's see where my physiology, where my muscle and fat mass is at 3 months from now.
I am So excited. Okay, I will do that. And I'm happy to share that with everyone. Maybe that's a live. That's my next live stream. And we can do that. Lisa has a comment where she's talking about she recommends jerky.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Jerky's great.
Right. And we've had so many requests to carry a good jerky and we don't carry one yet. Lori Olson says, this is why I started laughing, egg in your coffee with butter. So I got a challenge. This was a challenge to have egg in my coffee. I think it's disgusting the minute I heard it because I just picture like a fried egg on top of my coffee, which I know it's not. And Molly, I told everyone if I get more than 5 emails to contact@switchgrocery.com to try egg coffee, and I will. So actually 2 keto dudes who are two crazy ketos, they have been invited to come on the live. So I will be doing the egg coffee, but I'm still not. I've been postponing it. Yes, my mom is obsessed with egg and butter in my coffee and matcha. Sounds okay. And then Suzanne says, I have a cheap Renfo scale, just to give me an idea on fat and muscle mass. Of course, not 100% accurate. And Karen says she has egg and butter in her coffee every morning.
Nice. Yep.
Very interesting. My next question for you was actually about snacks. Yep. So we went through our store. So after we talked to you, you have inspired a protein collection. We've never, ever done this, but we were watching some of our customers. Bree on our team she was getting concerned because some of our customers may be chronic undereaters. They may not be eating enough, right? So, one of the things that we decided after we were very inspired by you and said, let's do something called the protein collection. So in that protein collection, we put Kaizen pasta, which is the made from lupin flour. We put egg white protein, which is apparently double the price in the US, by the way. Egg white protein is insane. In Canada, it's not. We put in keto brick. We put in, obviously, the keto chow. We put in philosophy. We also put in wisps, which is the cheese, the little cheese things. So I wanted to actually ask you, as someone who's kind of always on the go, are there any other packaged products that you would, so not just tuna cottage cheese, for someone who, I'll give you an example, one of our customers is on a construction site every day for 8 hours. So I really wanted to ask you, what other packaged products could we use to get on the go to get more protein? And maybe Switch should even carry them.
Yeah, so the jerky, number one, was a great suggestion. There are a number of bars out there that are meat. It's like a thick jerky bar, but it's not as dry as a sugar-free jerky. So like Epic Foods, there's many different companies out there. I actually just started using, I don't know if you know of Jocko Willenick. He's ex-Navy SEAL. I love him. Some people don't. I think he's amazing. He has his own supplement company now, and he has a ready-to-drink protein shake that's been my go-to. It's called Mollee. It's 30 grams of grass-fed protein per drink. So you're getting 30 grams in one beverage. I believe it's 180 calories, and it's keto-friendly. So if I'm on the go, in the car, I'm going from the gym to go to work, whatever it is, I will leverage those. So if there is a keto-friendly, 25 to 30 gram protein ready to drink.
We have that with keto chow.
So they have ready to drinks.
No, it's not. It's you have to make it. It's a powder that you mix in water and some fat, and then you can take it with you.
And that's where these RTDs,
they're actually already made,
ready to drink.
Interesting.
So you may want to consider seeing if you can stock a ready to drink.
Wow.
Just because that can be really helpful. Because other than that, you're really looking at, you're looking at dried meat sticks. You're looking at dried cheese sticks.
And you've taken nut butters away from me. I love nut butters on the go. I love nuts and seeds. Like when you started the live and you said, okay, so no, like it's not going to get you enough. I was just like, okay.
So again, the problem comes down to they're so calorically dense for so little protein.
Yeah.
So I used to do the same thing. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get a nut packet and I'm going to get this. And like, oh, look at me. And I'm like, it was like, X amount of calories for 8 grams of protein. And I really didn't solve for that.
Right.
So, nut butters are amazing. Nuts are amazing. They're very nutrient dense, but they can be kind of quote unquote dangerous on keto because they're so easy to eat those. And they just
absolutely. Oh my gosh, they're delicious.
I use them nut butters are like a treat. I'll use nuts as a treat.
Right.
Obviously, they're great for snacks, but if you're looking for high protein snacks, you really are looking at chicharrones. Chicharrones are great for that.
Okay.
So all of them are keto. But
are you talking about pork rinds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Got it. Yeah, we have a brand that we're testing right now. We can't import pork rinds because there's a lot of meat, dairy, just like regulations in Canada. So we wouldn't be able to do that legally. So we're trying to find a local pork rind that doesn't have a lot of chemicals added to it, or not chemicals, sorry, ingredients that are, with preservatives and things like that. So
that makes sense. But it does get tricky. And then it's kind of tricky, with the snacking, it depends on the person and their needs. Because if you've got a 240-pound, 6'2" construction worker, what we're gonna feed him, he can eat a bag of macadamia nuts. That's fine. And he can have so it's really, that's why I say so much of this is nuanced. What are you doing in a given day? And based on that, are you just feeling a little hungry, or do you need a snack that gives you a proper amount of protein? Do you just need something satiating, or do you actually need some nutrition? And so it's very personal to people. It's very personal to what does your day look like? How active are you? What are your goals? Did you lose too much weight on keto and now you're like, oh no, I need to get back to my normal weight? Are you working out on the regular? So nutrition is difficult because I will say, processed carbohydrates are bad for everyone in excess. I will stand by that. Yeah. It doesn't mean that there's not a place for carbohydrates. It doesn't mean that there's not a time and a place for all different types of nutrition, but you've really got to take the information and layer it on you, your genetics, your lifestyle, your desires for your health.
Right.
And you kind of have to construct something that works for you.
Are there any questions? So if anyone has any questions for Mollee, this is your time. You can be as selfish as you like, because now I have her text. I can text her, so I can literally send her send her a picture of my body scan after I get it.
So I would send you something that if you want, you can add to your site that basically just breaks down in detail all the little pieces we talked about, like why 30 grams of protein, what are some ideal sources. I have a number of things put together for clients that kind of break it down for you and give you some ideas. So
Mollee, who are you? Are you a gem? You're a gem.
And really, I can send you some links to podcasts that you can even also embed on your protein page. I'm not an expert. There are legit experts out there, Dr. Tommy Woods and Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and a number of other individuals whose entire everything is focused on why muscle is so important as a glucose sink, why muscle is so important as an organ for longevity. And they're both the people I'm thinking of are amazing, and they would be great to share with your audience.
Let me ask you then, Mollee, is there anything that you think that's important that you have not shared yet with us about protein?
For me, I think one thing that's crucial is really understanding that, and you kind of brought this up in the beginning, aiming for a certain weight can be detrimental, because if you're losing muscle mass in order to hit a certain weight, you're going against both health span and lifespan. So having adequate muscle mass is linked to a healthy lifespan. And simply by not getting enough protein, you are putting yourself in a position of having less health span and less lifespan. And back to the diabetes and pre-diabetes, muscle is spoken of as a glucose sink. So if we are having high blood sugar and we are having issues with blood sugar, one of the simplest things we can do, it's very effortful, start again, lift heavy things, put on a heavy backpack and go for a walk. Anything that's going to build muscle and get muscle working is going to sop up excess glucose. Your muscles are going to use that glycogen first. So just really learning to love muscle and think about muscle as a really important organ, separate from, you don't have to want to ever see your muscles, but we want to use them and build them because it protects us over a lifetime. And a lot of people, wait until X, Y, and Z disease state hits them in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And even if you are in your 50s, 60s, 70s, there's people who start CrossFit at 70 and they put on muscle. There's no too late. There's no too late when it comes to putting on muscle, and there's no too late to coming to the table and committing to getting enough protein just for overall health.
Okay, here. That was amazing. Like, wow, I'm blown away by that. And I really want to go back to the fact that in this whole thing, you haven't really talked much about weight. You've talked about the levers, and, to kind of go back to the beginning, you talked about eliminating sugar and carbs, lifting,
yep,
and then using protein. We have two questions.
Yep.
One is it true that older women actually need more protein than advised?
Yeah. So, and this is where there's a whole bunch of nuance, and I'll send you more info. But yes, so after a certain age, it's even more important to get even more protein because our bodies are not as good at the digestion of, the utilization of protein and amino acids. We're not as good at building muscle or maintaining muscle. So it's even more important. And unfortunately, you find, a lot of people will find their grandparents or their parents, they're just not eating enough in general, but they're also not eating enough protein to maintain their muscle mass. Sarcopenia can start happening at the age of 40. And that's just the slow loss of unused muscle tissue. So an extreme example, if you look at someone who is legitimately anorexic, that's a sarcopenic state. Someone who has cancer, it's called cachexia, it's muscle wasting, that's a sarcopenic state. If you're not actively if we're not using our meat suits, irrespective of our age, but definitely after age 35, 40, it's really easy to kind of slowly lose muscle mass every single year and end up in a sarcopenic state. So yes, 100%. And we want you to get quality protein. And yes, to me, quality protein is high. It's not even to me. High quality protein is high biological value protein. Beef and eggs are top of the list. All of your animal sources of protein are going to have high biological value. There are some well-constructed plant-based proteins where they'll do a mix of, say, pea and hemp and rice. They have to they have to work to make sure that the branched chain amino acid profile and the amino acid profile is somewhat equivalent to whey. But yes, yes is the answer.
Amazing.
Yep.
Karen asks, I'm really interested to see how you answer this question. So I want to get to 150 pounds. So should I aim for 150 grams of protein?
If 150 feels like this is the weight I feel comfortable at and just active and healthy, then yes, I would aim for a minimum of 150 and start there. Just start there because it's not easy at first. I don't think I hit 160 grams of protein for the first month. I'm giving up. What is this? So it was like, no, I'm committing. Let's put in the fridge what I need to construct a meal. Or sometimes it wouldn't even be a meal. To be quite honest, sometimes it feels like a feeding. Sometimes it feels like I just need to get 30 grams of protein. This is about getting the protein in, because I have X, Y, and Z desire for my state of health. Dinner is always like a nice meal, but during the day, sometimes it is just a feeding. Sometimes it's a bowl of cottage cheese with tuna. And it's giving the engine the fuel it needs to function at its best.
Right. Karen's also asking what her fat would be.
So it's tricky if you're keto and trying to up your protein, you may be thinking like myself, like in the beginning, I was ridiculous. I was 90-10. I was doing like the epilepsy diet just because I wanted to do it really strict. So I was not getting anywhere near enough protein when I first went keto. That wasn't my goal at the moment. I wasn't paying attention to that. I just wanted to understand and feel deep ketosis. Now it's different. Now protein is the goal. Everything else is still keto. For me, it's not kicking me out of ketosis because the more active you are, the quicker you're going to burn off any sort of glycogen, or if any gluconeogenesis happens, I'm not worried about it.
Right.
And for the purposes of the protein conversation, I would just focus on eating in a protein-centric fashion, and then having your fat and your arugula in butter, or your whatever side thing that you're doing with your protein. Just focus on that protein. Now, if you're someone who says, you know what, I'm keto, I have 100 pounds of weight to lose, I'm pre-diabetic, for the moment, focus on that. Don't complicate things. If your primary goal is you have a decent amount of weight to lose and keto is working for you for that, I want to mess with that high ketone number. But to be honest with you, I would still, protein-centric keto, I know that messes with the original, the macros. And I myself for like 2 years was like, I'm not messing with that. I love how keto feels. I don't want my ketones to go lower. But it's also going to depend on your activity level. If you're active every day, if you're working out every morning, I'm not personally concerned about going much higher protein while keto, because you want to be able to get you want all the benefits of going to the gym. You want all the benefits of going to the gym, which means not losing your muscle and doing what you can to build muscle. Yeah. So on that, I mean, honestly, again, we want to look at stair-stepping goals. So you have a wonderful first goal to focus on, and really for that, I'd stick with more traditional ketogenic macros, and really looking at avoiding processed food in general. If you like beef, you may want to consider kind of more of a keto carnivore diet with high fat meats, and really removing any sort of processed food, keto or otherwise. So stair step your goals.
It's always hard, because I think when giving advice, it's hard because it's hard to know what that person is going through, right? So
exactly,
like it's Karen says she's been strict keto, but I think it's hard to, because
that's what's so hard, is that I can give you a number of different paths for you to take the information to go down.
Right.
But I can kind of, I might have an idea of the genes associated with how your body is processing X macros, but I don't have your blood work. I don't have your genes. I don't know, do you have a long-term injury? What kind of activity can you do? What other issues? So stressors. So, it's really important. Like I absolutely can't give like personal health advice. You just in this kind of format. So again, I know it's tough because people always want the answer for themselves.
Right.
And no matter who you're listening to on any podcast, whether it's me or you're listening to someone on a podcast, the best we can do is give you the important components that you need to be mindful of,
Right.
and a simple way to go about them. So just to kind of simplify the conversation this is the same for everyone.
Right.
99.9% of probably North American females are not getting enough protein. We know that a large percentage of the population are either already pre-diabetic or diabetic, or are desiring to get to a metabolically healthy place. So I like to go with, what do we know? And how do we keep it simple? We know we need more protein because we know muscle is important for longevity, and it's important as a metabolic sink. We know that if we have over 20 pounds to lose, we should probably focus on that for longevity, for metabolic health, so we can feel good. Now, choose the one that's most important to you to start with. Stay committed to that, because then you're going to find that you can stair step into other goals. And, it is tricky, because there's things that if you were sitting here with me and related to me, I could legally say to you and be like, you're going to do this. This is the program we're going to put you on. You're doing X, Y, and Z. I can pretty much only do that to my brother. Like, you just can't do that. Outside of a setting where someone is going through all your metrics with you and knows everything about what's going on. But I also want to say, it's really easy to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And
for sure, you're not someone who does that.
And this is where I want to bring it back to. There's no conversation to have about anything until you're getting 160 grams of protein a day. Don't worry about anything else. Don't go get an in-body scan. Don't worry about X, Y, or Z, because I'll do this too. I'll be like, but, and then I lose all my focus. I would say choose a goal and stick with it, because once you have that, you're like, okay, I'm 3 months in. I know how to get 160 grams of protein a day, and I'm doing X, Y, and Z physical activity. Amazing. Now, what do I do on top of that? And I think too often people get excited about a thing and commit for a minute, and they don't feel what they thought they should feel. So they try a new thing, but we don't even know if this other thing would have worked because we didn't stay committed long enough.
I love that advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really, really fantastic advice. We have a question from Lori, who's asking, and especially right now, with there's so much budget pressures. I don't know if you know, but the CEO of Loblaws, which is the major grocery chain in Canada, is actually in front of Parliament last week and 2 weeks ago because of the high profits of the grocery chain has. And, again, it could be debated. Is that coming from their pharmacy? Is that coming from what area of their business is that coming from? That's not disclosed in their financial statements. Oh my gosh, the accountant in me is coming out. So this question, I really, really like this question, because it is, our own grocery bill has gone up significantly. So is it important? How is ordinary grocery store grain fed?
You're going to love my answer.
I love this.
Keep it simple. Don't make it complicated. If you make enough money to buy the best eggs and beef on the shelf, you buy the best eggs and beef on the shelf. But the lowest cost beef on the shelf is 1,000,000 times better for you than the cheap box of cereal or crackers or cookies or juice or soda or any other crap on the shelf. And we've made the conversation so complicated that in people going, well, everyone's saying I've got to be grass fed, I've got to do organic, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Are they better? Yeah. But is the other meat and egg, are the non-organic, the rest of the conventional stuff, is 1,000,000 times healthier for you than any of the cheap packaged goods that are largely what got most people to a state of ill health. So this is where one thing that it's in my head is all the time is you've got to choose your battles. You've got to choose your battles. don't get down on yourself if you can't buy the most expensive thing. You're committed to a protein amount. How do you follow through on getting that protein amount without driving yourself crazy, without spiraling into, well, I don't make enough money, so I can't do it. I'm just going to buy this thing over here. Again, nuance. This is another thing. Nuance is missing in every single conversation and culture right now. Yeah. There's never this one answer for everything. And so that is a really, if I was rich, I would probably buy myself a grass-fed cow and have someone, like, I know what it fit, I know what it ate, I would take it to the butcher myself, I know exactly what was going on. That's not where I'm at right now. So I'm going to buy what does not break the bank, what gets me my protein, and what I still feel good about eating. And I see so many people, we have too much information, and it stops so many people from making healthy steps because it gets overcomplicated. And it doesn't have to be. If you have the time and the money to complicate things, I'm all for that. I've had periods where I had the time and money to complicate things, and I certainly did. And it's almost easier when I have less time and less money, because it's like, no, those are the eggs I'm buying.
Right. Those are the eggs I'm buying. I love that. Jess is asking, is this true for men as well, to eat more protein as they get older?
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting. Okay. So but I guess the earlier question was do women need more?
Men and women, like, as we get older, we want to be eating more protein and doing more. Well, again, nuance. You want to eat more protein and you want to move more. But that's pretty much, I'm going to tell you that from the age of 25 on, male or female, like, okay. 99% of the population, and without complicating it. Like, just, if you have a basic number you want to aim for, stock your fridge with things that make it fairly easy to do. If you're keto, then, keep moving on that track where you're keeping your carbohydrates under, 20 or under. If you're active, you can get away with a little more carbohydrates. Don't overcomplicate it. But the magic sauce is you've got to eat enough protein, preferably 30 grams per sitting, because we need to get that 2.8 to 3 grams of leucine to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, and we need to lift heavy shit. That's the recipe.
I think that is the perfect spot to end this live, because we started trying to uncomplicate, and we've ended at uncomplicated. So I think we have successfully uncomplicated protein. And before we go, I really would love to know, how can people find you? How can people find Keto Brainz, which, I mean, I use this every day, pretty much. Yeah. From our last conversation, I think there's a clip of me on the internet saying, what is happening to my brain? And we just restocked it. I just want, how can people find you and follow your work? Because you're amazing.
I basically, Instagram is where we do everything for Keto Brainz, and there's a lot of educational content there. If you go to our Keto Brainz website, to our blog, there's a lot of education in our blog, not as much as I would like, but don't have all of the time. But yeah, ketobrainz.com or Keto Brainz on Instagram, and we try to learn and educate and help people's brains feel better with our Keto Brainz nootropic. And we try to empower you with just little functional tools to make life better.
Absolutely. And you do. And so thank you so much. I'm glad we went over time. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us the first 12 minutes. We really, really appreciate it. And this has been a really, really, really wonderful chat. Suzanne says thank you. Oh, we're getting so many thanks. I love this. We will have Mollee back. And I promise we need to have Mollee back, probably again in the summer and again over the holidays when we really, really need some help. Suzanne is asking about your product. So if we can answer that, I would love that.
Yeah, so it's a ketogenic nootropic creamer. So the base is 8 grams of C8 MCT. So it's going to help your liver produce ketone bodies. You've got 300 milligrams of alpha GPC. Alpha GPC is a choline analog, if you will. It crosses the blood-brain barrier to help you make more acetylcholine, which is the molecule of focus. It has lion's mane, which is going to help with the production of BDNF, and it has L-theanine, which helps to increase alpha brainwaves, and GABA. So it's no jitters, energy, and focus, either in your morning coffee, before you study, pre-workout. You can leverage it in all manner of ways.
So I will simplify that. Change your brain, change your life.
Yes.
It has changed my brain. I mix a scoop of it in my coffee every morning. And it has honestly, literally changed my brain. I will link, Suzanne, what I'll do is I'll reply to this comment on Facebook and link the interview that I did with Mollee, where we talked about brain health. And Lisa says, excellent info tonight. Thank you both. Thank you, Lisa. And thanks for sticking with us at the beginning. And Karen says, loved the creamer. And Jess says, yes, thank you so much, Mollee and Neha. What a great live. Thank you guys so much. I did pretty well sick. So I'm wishing that everybody gets better. I know that everyone had issues when we joined the live and everyone was sick. I think Suzanne was sick. I think Lori was sick. She was tested positive, but now they're better. So I just hope everyone gets better, and spring is in the air. And I do have a little bit of a surprise next week. I'm actually going to be out of town. So you may see baby cousin, who's 22, baking. I'll just drop that hint, but I'll keep you posted, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Mollee.
Thank you.